Seniors, stop eating these top 10 worst foods. They cause stroke and heart attack. You might find this hard to believe, but the very foods you are consuming every single day, the ones you believe are healthy, low-fat, and heart-friendly, may actually be silently destroying the very blood vessels that nourish your heart and brain. As a cardiologist, the thing that pains me the most isn't a complicated surgery or a high-risk emergency. It's the confusion I see in my patients' eyes. People who have tried to do everything right according to outdated advice, yet still collapse suddenly from a heart attack or a stroke. They cut back on fat. They chose low-fat, cholesterol-free products. They avoided butter, red meat, and even egg yolks. But they didn't avoid the confusion, a misunderstanding that has persisted in the field of nutrition for decades. And then I see them more and more, coming back to my clinic, hands trembling as they hold their lab results. More blocked arteries, higher blood pressure, worsening memory. No one knows why. No one suspects that the culprit could be hiding in their morning bowl of cereal, their low-fat sandwich at lunch, or that fat-free glass of milk before bed. Don't you feel like something's not right? I used to believe it too, that cutting fat meant better health, that avoiding cholesterol meant avoiding heart disease. But real science doesn't stand still, and the truth you're about to hear might just change the way you look at the entire world of food around you. In this video, I'll reveal 10 foods that seem safe, but are in fact silently damaging your brain and heart's blood vessels every single day. Foods you've been eating, trusting, but that are among the most dangerous hidden threats. And I won't just warn you, I'll give you solutions. Simple, proven swaps that can help repair your blood vessels, reduce inflammation, and truly protect your heart. And at the end of the video, I'll expose the #1 worst offender, the most harmful food of all, the one you may have eaten this morning or are feeding your loved ones every single day. You can't afford to miss this, because this might be the most important information you'll ever learn about heart health. Let's start with #1, white bread, pastries, and cookies. I get it. I understand the comfort of a warm slice of toast in the morning or the simple joy of a crisp cookie with a cup of tea. It's more than just food. It's a piece of our childhood, a source of comfort, a connection to our memories. It just makes us feel good. But as a doctor who has seen too many blood sugar charts spike after a simple breakfast like that, I have to share a hard truth with you. That comfort comes at a very high price. I remember one gentleman, a retired carpenter, who started every single day with 2 slices of white bread and jam. He thought it was a harmless meal. But that very habit was a big reason he developed type 2 diabetes and the heart complications that followed. Here's what many people don't realize. When you eat refined white flour, the stuff used to make most breads, pastries, and cookies, your body treats it almost exactly like pure sugar. There's no fiber to slow it down. It causes an immediate sugar flood in your bloodstream. That sugar rush forces your body to pump out a lot of insulin to handle it. When this happens day after day, your cells get tired and start to resist the insulin. Sugar can't get into your cells for energy, so instead, it gets stuck in your blood, causing inflammation and slowly damaging and hardening the delicate walls of your blood vessels. So, imagine starting your day with steady, lasting energy from a couple of eggs or some avocado. That isn't just a change in your diet. It's an act of kindness, a gift you give to your tirelessly working heart. #2, breakfast cereals and packaged health foods. Those colorful boxes on the supermarket shelves make a lot of promises, don't they? They promise whole grains, added vitamins, and even that they're good for your heart. And pouring a bowl of cereal is just so easy. We feel like we're doing the right thing, making a smart choice to start the day. But here's a truth the food industry has cleverly hidden. Most breakfast cereals, even the ones that look simple and healthy, are often just cleverly shaped pellets of sugar. I had a patient, a very health-conscious woman, who was shocked to learn her triglycerides, a dangerous type of fat in the blood, were alarmingly high. She didn't eat desserts or drink soda, but every morning she ate a bowl of high-fiber cereal. The problem was, to make those flakes taste good, the manufacturer had loaded them with a huge amount of sugar, often disguised under names like corn syrup, honey, or cane sugar. When you say no to a box of cereal, you're not just saying no to sugar, you're saying no to a false promise. Number 3, bottled fruit juice. A glass of orange juice every morning for vitamin C. We've heard that our entire lives, haven't we? It's practically become a health gospel. We give it to our kids and grandkids, and we drink it ourselves, believing we're doing something incredibly healthy. But here's a fact that might shock you. For the blood vessels of a person over 60, a glass of bottled fruit juice is no different than a can of soda. I know that sounds hard to believe, but let me explain. When a fruit is squeezed into juice and bottled, the process strips away its most valuable part, the fiber. Fiber acts like a brake, slowing down how fast sugar enters your blood. When that brake is gone, what's left in your glass is mainly liquid fructose. Your body doesn't know the difference between sugar from natural fruit and sugar from a soda can. It just sees a sugar rush coming its way. I've seen diabetic patients whose blood sugar skyrockets after just a small glass of apple juice. I've seen people at risk for fatty liver disease, a condition usually linked to alcohol, whose problem actually came from a daily fruit juice habit. And of course, sugary sodas are even worse. The next time you want vitamins from fruit, do the simple thing. Eat the actual fruit, an orange, an apple. That way you get all the vitamins, the minerals, and most importantly, the fiber that's there to protect you. Number 4, fast food and fried foods. Life gets busy, and sometimes a quick meal from a drive-thru seems like the only answer. It's hot, it's convenient, and it has an addictive taste that's hard to resist. We tell ourselves just this once, believing it can't be all that bad. I have to tell you, every single meal like that is a full-on assault on your cardiovascular system. Think about a typical burger and fries meal. It's not just one problem. It's a combination of many problems all at once. First, the bun. Like we already talked about, it's made from refined white flour, a sugar bomb that will spike your insulin. Second, the French fries. They aren't just a starch that raises your blood sugar. They're deep fried in refined vegetable oils, and we'll talk more about those oils later. And the worst part is, to save money, these oils are often reused over and over. Each time that oil is reheated, it becomes more and more oxidized, turning into a toxic compound that creates powerful inflammation inside your body. Third, the sauces. They are loaded with sugar, high fructose corn syrup, and a ton of chemicals for flavor. And finally, the soda that comes with it. It's the last dose of liquid sugar to complete the damage. I remember a study that compared the effects of eating 2,500 calories from whole foods versus 2,500 calories from a single fast food meal. The results were scary. The fast food meal had far more carbohydrates, significantly less protein, and most importantly, it was packed with the wrong kinds of fats, added sugars, and inflammatory chemicals. When you eat a fast food meal, you're loading your body with a huge number of calories that are almost completely empty of nutrition. The next time you're tempted by that drive-thru, just pause for a second and picture what's really happening inside your body. Is that 5 minutes of convenience really worth trading for years of your health? Number 5, processed meats, like sausage, cold cuts, and bacon. I really need you to understand the huge difference between a fresh piece of meat and meat that's been processed in a factory. That difference can be the line between nourishing your body and harming it. When I talk about processed meat, I'm talking about any meat that has been salted, cured, dried, smoked, or treated in other ways to add flavor and make it last longer. The biggest problem with these foods comes from the preservatives, especially nitrates and nitrites. When they get inside your body, they can turn into damaging, inflammation-causing compounds called nitrosamines. Think of it this way. Every time you eat a piece of processed meat, you're introducing a small number of substances that cause inflammation. This process, repeated over years, creates a state of low-grade, chronic inflammation inside the walls of your blood vessels. This inflammation makes it easier for plaque to form, grow, and worst of all, become unstable and break off, causing a heart attack or stroke. I've had patients who were shocked to learn that their daily lunch meat sandwich was one of the main risk factors for their heart disease. They thought they were eating a healthy, low-carb lunch, but they didn't realize they were slowly marinating their arteries in an inflammatory environment. On top of that, processed meats are usually loaded with an incredible amount of salt, sodium, and unhealthy saturated fats, which puts even more strain on your blood pressure and your heart. The alternative isn't complicated at all. Choose fresh, unprocessed cuts of meat, a piece of boiled chicken breast, some grilled salmon, or homemade ground beef. It might take a little more time to prepare, but it's the wisest investment you can make in your health. Number 6. Margarine and trans fats. For decades, we heard the same story over and over. Margarine is healthier than butter. But today, with everything I know as a doctor, I can tell you that this might be one of the most dangerous lies ever told in the history of nutrition. I think about the countless patients who carefully avoided butter, who proudly used margarine every day, only to end up sitting in my office with hardened, inflamed arteries. They followed the advice perfectly, but they got a tragic result. Here's the awful truth about margarine. To turn a liquid vegetable oil into a solid, spreadable stick, manufacturers use a process called hydrogenation. This process creates a monstrous, man-made fat called trans fat. Trans fat isn't food, it's poison at a cellular level. Imagine the tiny little power plants inside every one of your cells. They're called mitochondria. They create the energy for your every thought and movement. Trans fat is like a toxic sludge being poured directly into those power plants. It clogs them up, poisons them, and creates a storm of oxidative stress. It's like causing your body to rust from the inside out. And don't be fooled by the trans fat-free labels. The law allows manufacturers to round down to 0 if a serving contains less than half a gram. But when you eat multiple servings, you're still loading up on this poison without even knowing it.
The solution here is again so simple. Go back to what's real. A little bit of real butter from grass-fed cows, a spoonful of coconut oil, or some extra virgin olive oil. Before we move on, if you're finding this video helpful, please take a moment to subscribe. Number 7. Refined vegetable oils like soybean, canola, and corn oil. I'm reminded of patients who came to me with chronic inflammation all over their bodies, and we just couldn't figure out why. They didn't smoke, they didn't drink, but when we took a close look at their diet, we realized they were unknowingly consuming huge amounts of these refined oils every single day. Here's the problem. To get oil from seeds like soy or corn, manufacturers have to use extremely high heat, massive pressure, and toxic chemical solvents like hexane. This brutal process completely destroys the delicate structure of the fats, causing them to become oxidized and rancid before they even leave the factory. Then they have to use even more chemicals to bleach and deodorize the oil to make it stable. The final product you see in that bottle is no longer a natural oil. It's a denatured compound full of free radicals with a sky-high ratio of inflammatory omega-6 fatty acids compared to anti-inflammatory omega-3s. When you eat these oils, it's like pouring fuel on the inflammatory fire that's already smoldering inside your blood vessels. This chronic inflammation is the foundation for every cardiovascular disease, from high blood pressure and hardened arteries to strokes.
Diet soda. Number 8. As people became more aware of the dangers of sugar, many made a switch they thought was smart. They gave up their sugary sodas and moved to diet or zero-sugar versions. The logic seems perfect. No sugar, no calories, so it can't be harmful, right? It was a way to get that sweet taste without the guilt. But here is the subtle trap of artificial sweeteners like aspartame or sucralose. Your brain and body are incredibly smart. When your tongue tastes sweetness, your brain sends a signal that energy is on the way. Your body starts to get ready, maybe even releasing a small amount of insulin. But then, the actual energy, the sugar, never arrives. This confusion, when it happens over and over, can create chaos in your metabolic system. It can disrupt your gut microbiome, actually increase your cravings for real sweets, and some studies even show it can still contribute to insulin resistance. Even more alarming, recent studies have shown a direct link between daily diet drink consumption and a significantly higher risk of stroke and heart disease. So what's a smarter choice? If you enjoy some carbonation, try sparkling water. You can add a few slices of lemon, cucumber, or a couple of berries for a natural flavor. Number 9. Processed low-fat products. This is the core belief that shaped how we shopped and ate for most of our lives. We were taught by doctors, nutritionists, and public health campaigns that fat is the enemy and low-fat is heart-healthy. And we followed that advice seriously. We went into the grocery store and carefully chose the low-fat yogurt, the skim milk, the reduced-fat cheese, the fat-free salad dressing. We felt like we were doing the absolute right thing for our health. But today, I need you to hear this truth, and it might make you angry, but it needs to be said. The low-fat philosophy was probably one of the most disastrous nutritional mistakes in modern history.
I've watched a generation of patients who faithfully followed low-fat diets, only to end up with rising rates of obesity, type 2 diabetes, and cardiovascular disease. They did everything they were told, and yet they got sicker. Here is the cruel truth the food industry doesn't want you to know. When they take the fat out of a product, they have to put something else in to make it taste good. And that something else is almost always sugar, corn syrup, and a lineup of thickeners and artificial flavors. So I am pleading with you, be brave, go against what you were taught. Start reading the ingredient labels, not just the nutrition facts. Go back to whole foods. Eat the full-fat Greek yogurt. Use the whole milk. Trust in nature's wisdom, not the marketing gimmicks on a package. Number 10. Sugar. When we talk about sugar, most people just picture the white stuff in a sugar bowl or a piece of cake. But the truth is, sugar is everywhere, often hidden under different names to fool us. High fructose corn syrup, dextrose, molasses, glucose syrup, agave nectar. But no matter what it's called, your body handles it in the same damaging way. It's in the soda you drink. It's in your barbecue sauce, often more than you'd find in a can of Coke. It's in ketchup, in low-fat salad dressings, in bread, and in almost every processed food you can think of. I've seen patients who never drank a drop of alcohol, yet they had fatty liver disease. Why? Because fructose, which makes up 50% of regular table sugar, is metabolized in the liver in a way that's almost identical to alcohol.
When the liver gets overloaded with sugar, it starts turning that sugar into fat, leading to widespread insulin resistance throughout your body. And you end up with heart disease, high blood pressure, and strokes. But maybe the most dangerous thing about sugar is that it's incredibly addictive. It makes you want more and then more. And the fight against heart disease and stroke at its most basic level is the fight against sugar. Once you start reading food labels and realize where this enemy is hiding, the path forward becomes clear.
Finally, here is the best news of all, the most hopeful message I want to share with you. Your body has an incredible ability to heal itself. The moment you start putting these inflammatory things in, the repair process begins. It doesn't take complicated diets or expensive pills. It just needs you to remove the attackers. The most common question I get in my clinic is, "Doctor, is it too late for me?" And my answer is always the same. It is never too late to start taking better care of yourself. The final chapter of your life is not yet written, and you are holding the pen. So the real question isn't, can I do this? It's, how much is my future worth? Is it worth giving up a slice of bread? Is it worth taking a few extra seconds to read an ingredient label at the grocery store? Today, I'm not asking you to throw out your entire pantry. I'm simply asking you to pick one thing, just one thing from this list that you know you eat regularly, and make a powerful decision that starting tomorrow, it no longer has a place in your home or in your life. That is the first step, and it is the most important one. Do it not out of fear, but out of love. Love for the very life you want to keep living, fully, healthily, and with a clear mind, surrounded by the people you love. And be sure to watch our other videos on the warning signs of a stroke and how you can prevent it, right here on our channel.